I'm PC 3410 Thackray, Lancashire Constabulary, currently on secondment with the North West Police Underwater Search and Marine Unit. I've been asked to record some of the features of the River Wyre near to Allotment Lane in relation to the Nicola Bulley inquest. Today is Tuesday the 4th of April 2023. The time by my watch is 11:07. Currently stood at the bench where we believe Nicola was last before she may have entered the water. As you can see, as you go down to the river, it is quite a steep slope. The river is probably down about half a metre from the day when we attended, when she went missing. As you can get to the bottom here, you can see there's quite a large step down into the water. And hopefully you can see on the screen there's a pile of rocks. Those rocks constitute a wall that goes pretty much vertically straight down in the water to around 4 metres of depth, and then as you go out across the river it slopes gently upwards with a sandy bottom towards the far bank. If I get into the water, it doesn't look like it's flowing very fast at all at the moment. On the day in question you could see there was a steady flow downstream. At the moment we're above the Wyre, and the whole time we were here searching the water was flowing downstream towards the Wyre. Once I get into the water here, you can see there are some trees that overhang into the water, but it's fairly clear at the point of entry on both sides. There's nothing that could have stopped her, and you can see as we look back the wall that, as I said, goes pretty much straight down. It looks like it's man-made and to stop the erosion at the corner of the river. Now I'm into the middle of the river now, and it is pushing me downstream towards the Wyre. Probably around about walking pace, and it was certainly flowing a little bit faster on the day in question. On the day in question the water was 4 degrees Celsius. To somebody who's not in a dry suit that would feel very, very, very cold, almost freezing. And if it fell in accidentally, I think the cold water shock would have probably taken effect, which causes you to gasp. It can cause your muscles to seize so you can't swim properly. Underneath us now, as I dived on the first day, I know there are about 3 trees on the bottom, about 3.5 metres down here. We searched all around those trees and there was nothing caught up in them. So it's my belief that if she did fall in, she was probably floating and being pushed along in the flow. Once you get a little bit further down, you can probably see there's an island in the middle, and the first real snagging point onto the right there, which are the trees hanging into the water. Again, on the bottom here, it's very sandy. The water is quite murky, however we could see when we were on the bottom between about 1 metre and 2 metres using a torch. It gently slopes up to the left where it reaches the far bank, and on the right hand side it continues to be that wall. This far down I believe there was a bit of a ledge about 1 metre under the water before the ledge came out, probably 1.5 metres before dropping down again to about 3.5 metres. As we get further down towards these trees, I remember the the bottom started to slope up, and I've just reached the bottom now. So quickly, you can see how quickly it slopes up. I am now standing up in the water. It's about 1.5 meters deep here, and this part was all searched on the night, as we could see through it using torches. I don't know if you can see on the screen, you can see the bottom here. It's completely flat, a few rocks, and the first place you could have had a body to be caught up really would be this tree. Obviously this was searched, there was no trace. As we move further towards where this island is, we're getting to about 100 meters from the point of entry, or the perceived point of entry. Once again it gets deeper and deeper, and this was dived on a subsequent day. We searched around the front of the island here, and nothing was found on the actual day. I'm currently off the bottom again, so it's over 1.5 meters deep here. I think from memory, and dived further down later, it's about 3 meters deep just past, sorry, it's about 2 meters deep just past this island. And then once again we start coming up to the first right hand bend. The water starts to shallow out, and very shortly I imagine I'll be able to touch the floor again. I'm not swimming along at all here, I'm just letting the flow take me. Like I say, it's a slower flow than on the day in question, but it's still happily walking pace if you can see us moving along the bank. Again, you can see a small overhang of trees as the river bends to the right. Still not touching the bottom. It's around 2 meters deep here. The bottom continues to be sandy and flat with a few rocks on it. And I know there was a tree here as well that was located on sonar that was dived and searched all around. And just as we get to the apex of the corner, my feet have just touched the ground now, so it's probably around 1.5 meters deep here. Again, nothing on the bottom at all that would hold anything up. No overhanging trees that could have really been a snag. And we searched in a line on the night she went missing, all the way from here down to the Wyre, as it gets shallower and shallower from here. Now looking about 1 meter's depth. Hopefully you can see on the screen, you can see the bottom. And there's nothing on it. As we get around the corner, because it gets shallower and slightly narrower, the water starts to pick up in pace as you get towards the Wyre. The exit of this corner is about 200 meters from the point of entry. Again, if you can see the bottom, completely sandy, nothing there that will cause any kind of snag. And we're confident on the day in question that she wasn't in this area. across the river, which I think is about 20 metres wide, is fairly consistent. Completely flat here, man-made banks on both sides. Yeah, and you can see there are some slightly bigger rocks, probably fallen away from the side, but all of these were searched and there was nobody here on the day in question. You can probably see from the state of the river now, like I said, it's picking up in speed. If I was to sit down in this water now, you can see it's taking me along quite a bit faster. I'll just try and measure it from the side. It's now probably at a slow jogging pace. As we come around the corner, you can clearly see the Wyre in front of us. The Wyre is around about 300 metres from the point of entry. As you get towards it, water now is shin deep on me. We do think it's down a little bit from the day in question, but if you're floating, there's still more than enough water to push you along. Again, all of this was searched on the night in question by officers wading in a line, and we could see the whole width of the river. As you get to the Wyre itself, hopefully you can see there's a lip, but there's a lot of water going over it. Even though the water is now down from where it was on the day, it comfortably pushed me over, float over the top, and straight into the faster flowing water at the bottom. It's not powerful enough, there's not a big enough drop on the other side to stop you. Again, we did search the other side of that Wyre to make sure there was nothing trapped in it. As I stand up now, it's waist deep, flowing faster. The bottom is rocky, difficult to stand up on, and it does shallow to here where I'm about knee deep. Now below the Wyre, this river is tidal, and so it can flow in both directions. Again, when we were here, it was all flowing downstream on the day, but I believe at the time she went missing, it would have been low tide, so before we arrived there would have been a high tide that pushed things back up, and then it would have started ebbing away as we started diving. I believe the fire brigade were searching downstream, and they were here before we arrived. We arrived about 3 PM and started diving 4 PM. If you look to the left, you can see there's a sandy bank. Over to the right, you can see there are some trees where someone potentially could have been caught up. These weren't searched by us on the day, but I believe the fire brigade were in a boat and we're searching in and around all of these snag hazards. Still currently waist deep, and there are some more trees on this right hand bank that potentially could have been a snag hazard. In the middle of the river here, there is a shallow sandbank. There's a channel that runs to the right and to the left where it's deeper. I'm just coming onto this sandbank now. I'm coming up from waist deep to shin deep. But on either side, slightly deeper. So here I'm waist deep. You can see again man-made rocks on the wall on the way down. On the river right, on river left, a sandy bank. I come over this shallow sandbank and back into the deeper water in the channel on the other side of it, which is now around chest deep on this side. It's around about 400 metres now from the point of entry, heading down towards the bridge, which is around about 500 metres away. And the water here, as we exit the corner, is deeper. I'm off bottom, around about 2 metres. Again, I'm not swimming, I'm just being pushed along by the current, which is at a slow walking pace. You can see a large tree overhanging the water here, where potentially somebody floating could be caught. If I go over to it, just put my legs under it, I'm pretty sure there's not a lot that's actually hanging into the water. It definitely could stop you if you came into it, but there's nothing underneath these branches that are on the surface, easily hanging down into the water. And again, still steep sided with a man-made banking.